YouTube. I had a decent weather today, so I decided to do some casting. Yesterday I got in my new mold, which is the NOE 133 grain 9mm. These came out really nice. I got a 4 cavity, so it went pretty quick. I also casted up some Lee 312 155 grains. I use these for 7.62 by 39, and I also size them down to my 7.35 Carcano. I got a 301 sizer, and I take these 312 down to 308, and then from 308 down to 301, and they do really well. Then I casted up some Lee 338 220 grain. I use these in the 8x56 rimmed because the Lee mold that they made for that cartridge, which is a 329, is too small, since I have 4 of those rifles and the tightest one is a 331. So I take these, size them down to about 333, and they do real well. I use the 329 mold for 8mm Mauser, size them down a little bit. So I got these all out here. I'm gonna sort through, get out the bad ones, and then do some coating. So we'll be back later. Alright YouTube, sorry for the lighting in here, but this is my new oven. It's pretty big. As you can see, I can fit both of these little trays in here with plenty of room to spare. And this oven has convection, which is handy. Get a little bit more steady temperature. So there those go. Didn't tilt a single one. And we'll check them out after 20 minutes. Once again, I apologize for the lighting. I'm going to do a little test here. These are the 133 grain NOE 9mm. I stood a bunch up. I use gloves. And then I'm going to just put these in how they are here on this wire mesh. We're going to see how they turn out. I think I have the patience to stand up individual rifle bullets, but I'm not sure if I can justify doing it with pistol bullets. Some boogers on there aren't going to hurt anything in a 9mm. So we'll test these out and I'll show you how they turn out. Hey guys, have I mentioned that I love this thing? If not, I'm mentioning it. Alright guys, and here we go with a batch of rifle. 162 there. And then the rest that wouldn't fit, I lined up on the wire mesh. So I'm going to put them in and we'll see how those turn out also. So with this oven, you can see there are 4 slots on the side. So I could do over 600 bullets in one batch with this thing. Pretty happy with it so far. Alright YouTube, let's go over some of the results from our powder coating session yesterday. This first bowl is some of the NOE 9mm that I baked on the wire mesh. I grabbed a couple of the worst examples. You can see the boogers there from where it was touching the mesh. Really not a big deal. Those, you can pick them off or just stick them through the sizer and it really doesn't hurt anything. Here is one that was touching another bullet that was stuck together, so it left that little bare spot. Really not a big deal. Now here is some of the same bullet that I baked just on the silicone mat, not the ice cube tray, just the mat. And as you can see, they're quite perfect. The bases are a little more thin than the ones on the wire mesh. Not sure if you can even tell, but you can see a difference with your eyes. Now here are some of the rifle bullets, the 338s. These were baked on the wire mesh, and I grabbed some of the worst ones. You can see the small booger there on the bottom. Notice that this is a gas check design, but it has a really small shoulder where the gas check area meets the first driving band. And since I'm sizing these down from 338 to about 332 or 333, they'll be a flat base design. I do have gas checks for these, but you can't squeeze a gas check down that much. You get flashing around the edges. Here's another that was on the wire mesh. Really small little boogers there, but just not a big deal. And then this whole bowl here, I stood up inside the ice cube trays, and man, they turned out really nice. You might notice these are a little different color, or that they're kind of spotted. I tried to do these in a really old batch of Harbor Freight red, and the red just did not stick very well, so I shook the red off and then I put them in the blue. And these had a really thick coat. When I was picking these up with my gloves and setting them in the ice cube tray, it didn't take any powder off. I mean, you can see there's no bare spots or thin spots except for the bottom, which isn't a big deal. But these look pretty nice. Okay, and there's one more thing I wanted to go over, and that is the NOE sizing die system. There we go. These things are a great idea. They're way more convenient than the Lee style. They take up less space, and it's cheaper to have more diameters because it's only $10 for a bushing, where you're paying 20 to 25 for one of the Lee dies. The problem is these things are kind of rough. Here's some of the Lee 9mm 124 grain that I put through this 357 bushing here. These measured about 359 once I put the powder coat on them. I lubed these with Imperial sizing wax and pushed them up through this die, and it shaved that powder off really bad. So what I did was I got some 1000 grit valve grinding compound. I got my battery powered Dremel, put it on low, and I just kind of went along the inside of this chamfered edge at the opening, and then went up in and kind of buffed the inside. I tried this first with some Flitz polish, and it did nothing. So I needed something a little more gritty, so I had this 1000 grit valve grinding compound, and it worked great. So once I polished it, I put some of these NOE 9mm up through, and you can see it didn't scrape or disturb that powder coating at all. So I think that's the ticket for these. Some people may not have problems. Maybe some get a little better polish at NOE before they ship them out, and maybe mine were just a little rough. But I think I'm going to be doing that on all mine, because every one I've tried so far has been a little rough. More rough than I'm used to with the Lee dies. So that's it. That's the results of my casting and coating session yesterday. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.